Guys, we have Rich on the line today, a solo recruiter that bills over $1 million a year, crushing it, deep expert. Let's turn it right over to him. Rich, I want to start with your journey. Just walk us through kind of how you've gotten where you've gotten, and then we're just gonna dive right into it.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I kind of fell into recruiting like most people. I find just kind of magically end up in this wonderful profession. I was actually the youngest stockbroker in the country. Um, was in college managing $150 million in assets actually before I even graduated, and literally that the guy I was working for, Dean Witter, went crazy. So ended up moving to Boston, worked as a broker, learned how to just bang on the phones, would make a minimum of 150 calls a day. It probably, I forget how many dials, probably 900 dials a day. They used to track it. It was crazy.
That's
Long
insane.
story, it was insane. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome stuff. Brought in $1 million in assets in 6 months there. The guy wouldn't let me go on my own for the rookie trader. So I was like, you know what? F you, I'm leaving. I'm 22, whatever. So or whatever it was, 22, 23, and left, went to do recruiting, went to MRI because I said, hey, why not go work for free? Because that's what you do. It was basically straight commission. Made my first two deals 10 days into recruiting and opened the long-term care niche for them at the time. Closed two deals, made 40 grand on my 10th day. We're still in training, which as far as I know is still the fastest placements for a rookie at MRI. That was 25 years ago. And lasted there 6 months and said, this is ridiculous. I'm like one of the top, it was either number one or the top five out of 77 recruiters every month for 6 months. So I said, well, that's crazy. So see you later. I'll go start my own firm. And I did. So I've been on my own ever since. So my whopping 6 months working for someone else ended quickly. And it's been a fantastic run ever since. So we
Yeah.
switched to
So
software sales.
what niche did you go into? So, walk us through the decision to go, on your own. What made you, really feel like that was the right move for you? And what are the things when you went to go on your own that you didn't even see coming?
Um, I transitioned pretty quickly, and I always wanted to do software sales. I just thought it was a more interesting space for what I like to do. And not that the nursing home stuff wasn't so bad, but you could see that they were about to hit a cliff anyway. A lot of them went bankrupt and everything else, later. So we kind of pivoted over to software sales, and and it's really just has taken off honestly ever since. There was really no blip until 2001 when the dot bomb hit, and that was a big blip. So not much to avoid. Hard to avoid that sector there, but we got through it. But honestly, it was just there really was no big transition. It's what I liked. I tell everyone, every recruiter, they should find an industry that they're interested in. What do they want to read about every day? If you don't like nursing homes, you don't want to read about them every day. You're not going to do a very good job at it. You got to be passionate about what you sell. I mean, like Todd, you said you place some sales guys too. I mean, it's all I do is place sales guys. And I always ask them, well, what's the right job? And they're like, I don't care. I just want a big company or I want a startup or whatever. I'm like, no, what are you passionate about? What do you like? What's really going to excite you in the morning? Because otherwise you're going to be bored out of your mind and you're going to be looking every year. And, so that was my whole thing. And we've been off to the races ever since.
Yeah. And did you start contingent or, retain? Walk me through that part of it too, kind of what the evolution of the business model has been.
Sure. I've been almost all contingent until the last couple of years. And this year, even this year, I was doing a lot of contingent, and I don't mind it. I know if I'm going to work, I'm going to pretty much outwork anyone, and I'm going to win. I work my contingent searches more often like a retain would work it anyway. My process is it's the same process. It's just, is the client really serious? And that's what's going to put them up on the pecking order of any client. But I tell you, I mean, after dealing with COVID, as all of us are, where this has been such a circle, 25 years of doing this, I got to tell you, I've never been as confused or unsure of any search as I have been this year. I mean, it's been a decent year, but it should have been a way better year. In a normal economy, I would have crushed it. So, I mean, even this week, I just said, screw it. I'm just doing I'm going contingent or engaged. So, I mean, I just picked up like 3 new engagements this week. And actually, it was great. I had a guy literally wire the money before I even hung up the phone. I've never had someone pay that fast. And I'm like, right. And I told these guys, I don't even care what you pay me as an engagement fee. Just if you pay me $1, quite frankly, I'll never take just $1. But if you paid me just $1, I know you're serious and we're partners. If you're just contingent or just me and 400 of my closest recruiting friends.
Correct, right? That is exactly how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I tell them now. I'm like, listen, it's 28% if me and all our friends. If you don't really care, why should I? So it's 28% fee, 25% if it's exclusive contingent, and I'll do 22% if it's engaged. $5,000-$10,000 retainer up front. And I even tell them, listen, if I don't send you, if I can't find you 2 or 3 quality candidates for you to interview, just the first interview, I'll give you the money back. You have 30 days. Mm-hmm. Usually the deal will be closed within 30 days, but so there's 0 risk to them. So I think they're not smart to do it. And if they're not willing to work on that kind of plan, I find how serious are they about the search?
Yeah. So. You're really making a great point because you're stacking it. You're like bringing it down. So if they want, you're sweetening it so that they want to do the investment because it's a lower fee overall.
Lower fee, longer warranty. I'll give them, which is longer warranty, and you're a partner. I tell them I won't send if it's contingent, I tell them that candidate will probably go out to multiple clients. You're going to look at multiple candidates that aren't for me. So I mean, I've got to hedge my bets, and I tell this flat out to the client, to the prospective client. Some like it, some don't. What can you do? But if you're going to pay me an engagement fee, that candidate will only go to you.
Yeah. So have you moved into only doing retained, or engaged? Because for me, in my evolution, it's been somewhat similar. Where, I tell my clients, I say, I don't want to amortize, all my other failed searches and price them on you. Like I want to try to be as competitive as I can for the service, and therefore I only do retained search so that I can just offer the absolute best service for the absolute best price. And you're not paying for failed marketing and failed searches. So is that what you pivoted to, or do you sometimes still do contingent? What's your thoughts?
I'll do some contingent stuff. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it's got to be the right client. Mm-hmm. I've got some companies. I mean, I've placed 50 guys with, I trust him. I know I'm the only guy he's using. He'll get, he knows, I know what they want. He knows how I work. I don't have to worry about it. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's just using your time wisely. Yeah. And, these clients don't get it. And most of them don't respect us, quite frankly. Most of them don't respect their own sales team. So why are they going to respect us? So, the ones that do, they're great clients. They get it. And that's the ones that I gravitate towards. I mean, listen, sometimes you take a B or a C search and you take a flyer and you get lucky and make some money on it, but it's not the ones you're going to spend your quality time on, and that's what it's all about. Just justifying which ones you should really work with.
Yeah. How many searches do you like to work on at a time?
It depends. If I have a ton of retainer or engaged searches, like I said, I'm just making that switch to engage. So it's not like everything I've done is all engaged or retained. If it's engaged searches, I'll probably have, 5 or 6 of them at a time. If it's contingent, I'll have 15 or 20.
So that sounds like a lot of work. So how do you organize? How do you set up your day? How do you think about it? Kind of what's your process? Because for a lot of recruiters I know, they would be spinning their wheels so much trying to, kind of switch between all those different things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think one, you have to have a focus niche. I think, I think even I'm too broad, quite frankly, because I cover everything in software sales, like every vertical. Doesn't matter if it's, I've got a fintech search going on now. I've got a fraud, anti-money laundering thing going on, supply chain, but to me, good salespeople are good salespeople. So smart companies just want the best sales guys they can find. They're not as worried about what they've sold because you can teach a product. You can't teach those innate sales skills. So for me, I think, I try to find like companies. Just right now, I happen to have a smattering of verticals that we're working through, but I organize my things by priority. Who's going to pay me the most? Who's engaged goes first? Who's the next biggest fee? where's the easy ones? After doing this for so long, I mean, I have a pretty good idea where the good, golden eggs are hidden and know where to find them and pull them out. So you're going to go after the low-hanging fruit, fruit first to target your searches. And then, you set up your day. I'll spend a couple of hours doing, if I've got a bunch of engaged searches, those are always going to get top priority. And that's what most of my day is. It may be, if I've got 6 of them going on, maybe it's, Monday I'm doing these ones, Tuesday these, Wednesday those. But I also have an automated, email campaign. So people are going to get hit every couple of days with something from me. Either whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on via email or even a text, occasionally.
And this is on the candidate side?
On the candidate side, yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the process isn't, I can't tell you it's picture perfect, but it is definitely it's a lot to manage. It's a lot to juggle. But if you want to place, the most I've ever placed in a year is about 55 reps or executives, which is
a ton of work.
That's a lot.
So much.
Especially when you have a part-time admin, and that's it. So it's a lot of work, a lot of email, and you got to work smart. You got to know, it comes back to our last conversation. You got to really know the clients. Who's serious? Who wants to hire? What do they really want? Do they know what they really want? Which right now in COVID is, I find, the biggest thing is these companies are all scared. Candidates are scared. Clients
Exactly.
are scared. No one knows what they really want or what they should do. So.
Yeah, let's talk about navigating that, because really fundamentally that is top of mind for a lot of people. It is what's happening and what's occurring. And there's always going to be shifts in the economy. And how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, this one's been unique. I mean, I don't know how many recruiters would say it's not. I mean, this has definitely been the most unique downturn I've seen. I know I lost, literally over $200,000 in commissionable deals. Guys got to offer stage and then they just didn't do anything. Client pulled it, candidates get scared, more counter offers this year than ever before. I mean, I have more counter offers. I've had 2 in the last month. That's more than I've had in the last 18 months, which, so to me, it's a lot because it was a ton of commission, in a week and a half period, basically. But it's really just getting down to brass tacks. When you're doing your discovery calls with your clients, even if they're existing clients you've known forever, you got to pin them down and really understand, when do you want to hire? Are you confirmed to hire? Do you have approval to hire? Is the funds there to hire? In a normal market, you're like, sure, yeah, I've got it, great, they can do it, no problem. Market was scorching hot the last 10 years. In this market, you have to just nail them to the wall and say, listen, do you have it or you don't? Don't lie to me. And be very, blunt about it, and you'll piss off a few clients probably, but you know what? Better that than wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this is interesting. So one thing is, okay, Todd, when I have a couple engaged searches, I'll carve out a day, 80-20, most of my days focused on that search and outreach and find the right people. And then, of course, there's a million other things. What about on the biz dev side? What do you do something weekly? Is it daily, or is it at the point now that you've got a big enough Rolodex? What does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Most of my life is doing candidate side, thankfully, because biz dev is a pain, as we all know.
Yeah, so true.
So it is. But you go through spurts. I do my bet. I've changed how I used to do biz dev. I still do tons of phone calls when I'm in a biz dev mode. I try to make myself do so many during each week. Thankfully, I've got enough jobs right now. I haven't done any biz dev in a while, but during COVID, I mean, it was 99% biz dev basically during the heart of it. So when I'm doing a lot of biz dev, I do a couple of things. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. One of the ways that I just find I'm way more productive than the average recruiter, and quite frankly, the blessing of ADD is you can be on Facebook, be on LinkedIn, waiting for a phone to ring and getting 14 things done at once. So, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, going through my network, who in my world has posted anything, commenting on every dumb post. That's great. That's smart. Fantastic article. Great words. And people just keep seeing your name pop up all the time. So lo and behold, everyone thinks they know you. So it's, I mean, super simple free marketing. I post my jobs in LinkedIn, not in LinkedIn jobs, but in my status. So I get calls from that. I mean, I just got this retainer I just got the other day. That was directly from this guy just seeing me post all the time. And I'm not posting any genius articles. It's literally, hey, who knows, financial crime software? Who knows, supply chain? That's it. That's all you have to do. It's just simple. Put your name in front of people. They see it enough. Now they know you. They know you're always there. So it's, that's, and then I do my email campaigns, but and they're fine. They're effective as everything, but you got to do it all. You got to text, you got to email, you got to call, you got to post,
Yeah,
So,
and I just want to highlight this for people listening, but we've talked to a couple other people about, most placeable candidate. The other side of this is every time you get a search, post it on your LinkedIn. Like,
Mhm.
get people used to seeing the fact that you are recruiting on jobs in this space a lot. And yeah, that's great free marketing. Anyone, any of the, for you specifically, any of the sales managers, sales directors, VP of sales, that they can just see that you're in that space all the time. Yeah, that's smart.
it makes the companies feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Candidates get to know you. They start knowing what you're working on, and they constantly see you. So they eventually call.
Mhm.
It works out really well. So
Yeah. What about the email campaigns? What are you doing for that?
So I use Crelate as my database, and I got them to tie into Outplay, which is a great tool to use for it's outplay.hq. I think they have a great tool for campaign management. It literally walks you through everything from oh yeah, you have to you gotta love client excuses. Just popped in, but the so for Outplay it's great. So how I use the one good way I use, we were talking about VAs before, the one good way I use my VA, I do this. This is how I might kind of build my email campaign. So at night, I'll go through LinkedIn on a work on a search. I'll open up every tab of someone I like, Bill, Bob, Jim, John, and use a thing called One Tab, which is another great free tool. And then hit One Tab, sucks them all into a list for you. I then send that list, that link to my VA. That VA then opens up all those tabs, just like, he sees exactly what you saw.
Mhm.
And then he enters all those people into my database. I got the segment on a job order called Pipeline. Outplay takes everything, sucks in everyone from Pipeline, puts them on an email campaign that I built. Hey, heard you, maybe looking, or if it's a job order, if it's a biz dev, you got this great initiative going on. If it's a search, hey, would you consider leaving XYZ? And then puts them through the whole train if you wanted to. You can actually add voicemail drops to it. You can add texting and LinkedIn. It reminds you to do all that stuff. It's a great tool that people should totally take a look at.
What do you mean by voicemail drops? Like, it just reminds you that you need to call? Or
So no, you can actually I don't use this feature on it, but if you've seen there's other products like Phone Burner and stuff like that. And so literally you can record your voicemail once and you just let it rip. And then it will dial those numbers. If someone picks up, you can pick up. Otherwise, you just hit a button and it leaves a voicemail, goes on to the next. So it can save you a lot of time. I don't use that feature, quite frankly, but I know people that do and love it. So it's another time saver, but it's all built into Outplay. So Outplay is a really cool, powerful tool. So
yeah, I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah. Well, which also reminds me that there's a lot of tools out there. And when you are doing this solo, bringing some of those tools in can help you grow your business faster, because you've got to free your time up in order to actually be there's certain things you can't replicate. You can't replicate being on the phone with candidates. You can't replicate being on the phone with clients, but you could definitely this is like automating cold calling.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Cause you're going to get a voicemail 90% of the time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was smarter, I would use that feature more, but it's one of these days we'll get around to doing it, but it is a really good feature. I know a lot of recruiters, buddies of mine that are in Pinnacle and stuff that use it, and They love it. So
Yeah, and let me ask you this: what about on the existing client side? Do you have a process or something that you try to do? Because obviously you've worked with so many different clients, so I'm sure you kind of have them, housed somewhere. And do you take Sundays when you're watching NFL and just kind of go through and what do you do on that side to kind of stay engaged?
for the existing clients that I've got, I got to tell you, it's not my strength. They're never in the lurch because, again, you see them on LinkedIn, you'll just ping them a quick note. If I'm flipping through my database, I ping them. It's hard. It really is. Like this year, I actually started setting up more of a cadence. So, like every quarter, they'll just get a quick note. So just, not a check-in, but hopefully I've got them kind of separated the best I can into different categories, different types of software. So I've got a reminder to try to either just send a generic kind of email just to check in, or hey, just say, hey, listen, I got this great guy that I thought you could use, or here's an article, I found that, it's tailored to their space,
Yeah.
or about hiring or whatever else.
Do you still do NPC, like most placeable candidate marketing, or is that something that, I mean, I'm assuming you did that for years. I'm wondering if at this point you're kind of like, dude, I've got enough business that I don't have time to look at every single one and send it out.
No, I mean, honestly, when I do marketing, I still do NPC marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, it doesn't matter how successful I think I've been or someone else thinks I've been. That client doesn't know me or doesn't think it makes zero difference. So every new person I talk to, I might as well be the door over here. They don't know jack. So you have to treat everyone like you're new and dumb and treat them like gold. So no, I still do a NPC mail. I've tried everything. I've tried the NPCs. That's usually my favorite because it adds instant value.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is just trying to get them to believe you that you're actually bringing something of value. Unlike, every recruiter that reaches out with some fake candidate or never materializes any kind of results.
I wonder, I guess people are doing that because I know in my biz, the way we set it up is, okay, first start with just a general direct outreach type thing, some direct mail, some handwritten letters, calls, emails, all that stuff. And then take all those and roll them into, now this is a continuous, NPC, every time I talk to someone, great, go through, see who they might match with. And that's kind of how I try to stay in touch. Is that the same type of thing? Is your life as difficult as mine is what I'm asking?
Absolutely. And that's my dogs barking in the background to prove it. So so no, I mean, trying to organize all that stuff is a nightmare. I mean, it's super hard. I find, at least. If I had knew how to use a VA better, as we were talking about, maybe it would be easier. I don't know, but trying to organize that piece is super hard. Trying to get everyone, just so there's a constant cadence is hard, and get the right material out.
Yep.
You got to be super organized for that. There's not enough hours in the day. I mean, I literally work till 11 o'clock at night, and there is not enough hours in the day to add that part to it, plus all the research, plus all the other pieces to it. I mean, you do the best you can. Yeah. And, there's not, I mean, I don't have a great answer for it, to be honest with you, because you just stay on top of them, and you kind of cycle through your good clients, your good candidates. Like I have them all tiered or marked in a certain way. So I know, if things are looking a little slow, all right, here I can just do a quick blast to all the, my favorites,
Yeah, and is this all how, like, your CRM/ATS is Crelate, and then do they have tags where you're kind of tagging, each client, and you just kind of tag them, and then you'll pull those groups and get messaging out to them?
Yeah, keyword searching, they have tagging, you can do all that stuff. Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Yeah, very interesting. And then what terms do you do nowadays?
For terms for fees and stuff?
Yeah. I'm wondering kind of in your evolution in what you do now, kind of what your go-to is, and then your stair step.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do the 28, 25, 20, sometimes it depends. Sometimes they'll call it 23 and a half. Like they just close the deal with a 23%. You don't always have to drop by 5. Sometimes it's easier. Like I'm solo. I don't have huge overhead. I just, I won't work at anything under 20%. And, my average fees are like 30 grand. So, I'm not really that embarrassed to do something at 20% to make a
Yeah.
$30,000 fee in a month.
And
So,
the 28, 25, 20, the step down is 28 is just contingent,
Yep.
25 is exclusive, and then 20 is retained.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
And
keep it simple, make it easy for them.
Mhm.
My whole thing is, listen, let me win the war, not the battle, not just this battle. And I tell the clients, I'm like, listen, I'm not really interested in doing just one search for you.
No,
You know, yeah.
it's repeat business. Yeah,
Yeah. I tell,
absolutely. It's a relationship.
yeah. I mean, I tell them flat out, listen, I hate doing marketing calls. I'd rather just, know that I've got, quality clients, treat me like a partner. I'm part of the team, the inner circle. If that's what you're looking for, I'm the guy to use. If you want a guy just to flip resumes over to you, that's fine. It's going to cost you more actually, and you'll get less work out of me. But I mean, if that's what you want, great. If you don't, but if you want a partner, listen, I'll do it for less and do better work for you.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
counterproductive, but
Yeah.
it's true.
No, it makes perfect sense. What do you do for a guarantee length?
If it's straight contingent, it's 30 days from start date with, and mine actually covers everything from pandemics, even before the pandemic, to change in leadership. If they leave because of change in leadership, change in financial situation, loss of funding, because I do startups. My guy has to not work out because they didn't, they were bad. I mean, I truly find it hard to believe how companies blame recruiters for candidates not working. So I will do whatever I can to keep a client happy,
Yeah.
but I won't, like I had a guy that we placed to oil and gas. It was like a week after the oil and gas sector crashed, and then COVID hit. I forget whatever the time frame was, but it was literally right around then. The guy lasted that was a 90-day agreement, but they paid more. The fee was higher because it was 90 days, and the guy lasted 85 days. There was change in leadership. They ended up replacing the role with the new leader's friend, and they and they broke like 4 other covenants of the contract. The pandemic hit, which is all included in this, in my contract. And they wanted money back. They wanted me to replace the person for free. And I was like, listen, I'm like, what about this? You guys paid late. That you didn't follow any other covenant. So I'm like, I don't really understand where was my fault and how this is a good partnership for both of us. If this is how you guys want to be. So
Right.
I'm like, why don't you let me work on this next search? We'll get that one filled. And we'll go forward. So we did. So we didn't replace.
Walk me through that, because that sounds like a difficult client situation. So you place the candidate, and then something totally unexpected happens, and you have a 90-day for that one. You had a 90-day replacement guarantee. Like, I'll come in and I'll replace it. And
it's always replace, not refund. Yeah.
Yep, always replace and not refund. And tell people, because they may not understand why. Why do you do a replacement and not a refund?
Everyone's got their own theory on it. I personally think once I did my job, I put the person in there. I have no control of what goes on, so I don't know why I'd give money back. And you can make an argument, hey, listen, it's cheaper to give a percentage of it back than do a whole nother replacement. But my agreements are basically, listen, I will find you a replacement candidate, in X amount of days. And we've never failed. I've only had 6 people in my life really not work out. So out of, I think, 866 placements, I've had 6 people not work out. So I can't tell you it comes up that often.
Right.
And it's, but when it has, it stinks, quite frankly. But so to me, but once the money's in my bank, it stays in my bank. I didn't, I always tell the clients, I'm like, blaming me for a hire doesn't work out. It's like blaming the priest for your divorce. We just brought you together. The rest is on you. I don't decide the salary. I don't decide the accounts. I don't decide the location, the culture. I don't decide anything. I don't even decide if you're going to hire them or not, quite frankly. So I can screen them, make sure they fit what you're telling me you're looking for. But after that, I have a hard time understanding how it's my fault. And I stay in touch with these candidates. I'll warn a client if I think this guy's a flight risk. I'll warn the candidate if I think, he's on the bubble. I want to do what's right for everyone. And I never want to leave a client in the lurch. But I have a hard time understanding why it's our fault,
Yeah. I think it's just, helping to mitigate the risk. And, when I started doing it, I did refunds. It's always difficult, because you got to hold the money and then, So eventually what I've been using lately is saying, look, refunds aren't in alignment with my business. My business is solving the problem. And
Hmm.
that's how I get my business, is referral of clients through solving. And refunding your money is, hey, I didn't solve it. And so I'm like, I'm here to solve it. I do a replacement and make sure it's done. And that's how I transition from, the refund to the replacement.
Yeah.
And it's a great way, and it's a great way to position it. I mean, I don't really have too many clients that push back on the refund versus replace.
Yep.
Again, I always ask them the same question. I'm like, how would you, I mean, where's your responsibility in it? What if you decide you don't like my candidate, or your cousin Charlie suddenly needs a job?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of luck.
Yeah. Also, it's your training too. I'll talk to them. I'm like, look, I can find really great people. I have no control over whether or not your sales manager or sales director is really good at leading people. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This brings up a really great point. Rich, it's been incredible chatting with you. You've really walked us through all of the strategies, everything that you need to really think about, and the way you stair step things, and how you're really focused on long-term client relationships. And you've shared so many fantastic tools. And I know you have a free gift for our audience. Share with me, what is that free gift? And I'll tell them how to get it.
Sure. Yeah, no, the list I sent over that you guys can get is a list of all the tools I use in my, pretty much on my daily life, from the Outplay stuff to database to email marketing tools to contact information finders, all sorts of good stuff. AppSumo is on that list too. It's a great site to get freebies or really lifetime deals for like $50 for software that now goes for hundreds of dollars a month. You paid $50 once and it's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. That's incredibly valuable, because you've built an incredible business. So y'all, to get access to this, just scroll below, click the button, it'll take you straight to this incredible gift. And Rich, what's the number one thing you want to leave our audience with?
The number one thing, I mean, I think, for recruiters that are struggling through this whole COVID period, I'm like, and I think even post-COVID, anytime you guys get into slumps, I mean, or things get tough, you just go back to basics. You pick up the phone. Don't worry about emails. Hit the phones. I don't care what anyone says. All the marketing is great and it's all useful. Phone is still the king. There's zero doubt. I mean, I'm still on the phone at least 5 hours a day most days, so minimum. Don't get off the phone. Keep dialing. Don't believe all the hype about all the marketing. So that is life.